So a while ago, there used to be this trend in the Minecraft YouTube side of things with like 100 days of Minecraft. There aren't really any rules to this. It's basically just they play for 100 days and they just kind of see how far they can get. And a guy called Luke the Notable first came up with it. So shout out to him for the inspiration, because you see, I've been wondering for a while now if something like that would work in The Sims. I am thinking though, instead of 100 days, let's change it to 1 in-game year, because I think that time frame just makes more sense for The Sims. But so I've already made us a guy to play with. Here he is. This is Troy Maddox, is what I've decided to name him. No particular reason, I just thought those names sounded cool. And I've picked out this lot right here. So this is Copperdale. This is the world that comes with the school pack. And it's this really pretty kind of coastal neighborhood. And there is this carnival here as well. I'm thinking we could maybe build like a lighthouse on this lot, because I think that would look so cool. Even though there is this other lot in this neighborhood where I think a lighthouse would probably make way more sense, but I just think this one is cooler with like the trees and the cliffs, even though the trees will probably block the lighthouse, but it's okay, it's all just pretend anyway, right? I am, however, not going to build that lighthouse yet, because you see, I really like playing Rags to Riches challenges, where basically you start out with an empty lot and no money, and you also can't get a normal job. So you basically have to fish and forage your way up. And I've already come up with like a backstory for our guy as well to explain how we got here. Because of course I did. But so I'm thinking that Troy over here always used to be like a straight A student and kind of a prodigy, right? But unfortunately, a lot of that is thanks due to his parents putting so much pressure on him. And so one day in university, he just kind of burned out and crashed really bad. And so he did a really reasonable thing, which is to fake his own death, take on a new name, and then obviously run off and start new life elsewhere. Yeah, and that is how we get here. And so I've kind of tried to make him look like that happened with his outfits and everything. Well, outfits. It's really just one outfit that I made multiple variations of. Like, he literally just has these clothes. I've also tried to give him traits that relate to this backstory. So I've decided to make him a genius, an overachiever for obvious reasons, I think, and then also paranoid, because I think he'd be scared to like meet people from his previous life that could recognize him and stuff, right? And he's also a quick learner because of his aspiration, because right now I gave him the academic one, but I'm thinking that's more so what he wanted to do in the past, right? And now he should probably pick a different one, but I don't really know what we should pick yet, so I'm thinking this could be a placeholder for now while we figure out what he really wants to do. And with that, we are on to day 1. And I actually decided to start in summer, even though spring would have maybe made more sense, but it's too late now. I immediately started by looking around for fishing spots, because that's kind of all I can do right now. Pretty quickly I got this phone call. I'm pretty sure you always get this when you're in Copperdale. And it's basically from this person, Ash, that's like, hey, I want to show you around. But I was like, we're on the run. We don't want to talk to anybody, so block. The fishing went pretty well. I mean, we have all of those traits like overachiever and genius. So I got to level 4 pretty quickly. After that, the welcome wagon showed up. And again, I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Go away. I sold my very first batch of fish, many more to come after this, and made my very first money. After fishing some more, I got this personality trait discovery thing of, hey, do you want to be adventurous? And I was like, why not? So I accepted it. In the evening, I could buy my very first bush. We'll be able to sleep and pee in this. Super convenient. I also decided to save the very first fish that I caught. Maybe we can eventually put this in a fish tank in our house. When my sim got hungry, I decided to go to the carnival. There's a bunch of food stands here, so this thing is kind of a little bit like cheating. But to be fair, these little food stalls spawn in a bunch of different neighborhoods, so you kind of always have these when playing Rags to Riches. My sim social also got kind of low. I mean, makes sense, I've been avoiding people all day. And so I kind of started talking to this ice cream man autonomously. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Ice cream man can be your friend. But when talking to him, Troy immediately learned all of his traits without even really trying. And I realized something. You know what? This has been really easy with him being a genius and an overachiever. I can level up my fishing so quickly and I can just learn people's trades like that. This is supposed to be a challenge. So I actually decided to change his trades around. Originally when making him, I thought about giving him the high maintenance trade. I think this one also makes a lot of sense because he's like meant to be burned out and stuff, right? And this will make our lives a bit harder. So I'm adding this one to kind of balance things out. Though that didn't actually stop him too much, because we kept fishing and leveled up all the way to level 7. And I also caught an apple. Starting an orchard so we can sell the fruit seems like a really good idea. I'm thinking my next thing to do, since we have a bush now, could be to get a woodworking table. That might seem like weird priorities, but I'm thinking if we get a woodworking table now, we can like make more money from the crafts and buy cooler things immediately. I sold all the fish that I caught that night and we made a ton of money. And I also started the orchard like I talked about. And this is also the first time that I got to experience high maintenance stuff. With him complaining about a hangnail. Yeah, many more of those to come. While fishing, I got a notification about the neighborhood action plans and that I should vote in them. It's sort of like rules that apply to your neighborhood, and every week you get to vote for what plan you want. And right now it looks like free love was in the lead, which basically means that everybody coming over to your house will be flirting with you. So naturally, I wasn't the biggest fan of that, but also since I just started playing, I couldn't do anything about this because I didn't collect any points yet. The ice cream man that I talked to yesterday called me and asked me if he could stay over, but like, at what house, bestie? Oh, and sure enough, a little later on, free love did win, so yeah, this is gonna be fun. In the evening, I went back to the carnival to get some food, and I also talked to this ice cream lady who was here today. Now my hygiene was getting pretty low, and I was pretty sure this entire time that I would just be able to swim in the water over here and it would fix that. But turns out this is not very effective, and also he hates it because of his new high maintenance trait. But this is the world with the school, right? I just decided to break into school. The principal was here as well, but nobody saw me. I went back to the carnival because he was hungry again, and the same ice cream lady was here. Looks like these ice cream people are going to be my only friends. A little later, I had enough money to finally buy that woodworking table. And while I was in build mode, I also noticed that I completely forgot about lot trades, so I gave myself a couple ones. Most notably, I turned us off the grid so we won't have electricity, and also simple living, so everything that we cook we're actually going to need the ingredients for. Went back to the carnival to get some food, and I got the adventurous trade back, because when I changed this trade I lost the extra one, but luckily here I gained it again, so it's basically like nothing happened. What are you talking about? He was high maintenance this entire time. Nobody saw anything. I also saw the ice cream lady again. Her name is Angela, by the way, and my social was super low, so I decided to just talk to her for a little bit. Yeah, these ice cream people are definitely going to be my only friends. I crafted my very first thing on the woodworking table, but I wasn't very successful. I guess everybody starts somewhere. And that night, you will not believe this. No, really, this is kind of rare, and it's happening to me on day 3. Like, are you kidding? What are they even coming over for? I don't even have a house. But I do have... No. Yep, she stole my woodworking table. I of course did the most reasonable thing and fought her. But also not very successful with this, unfortunately. Oh, when I get my little hands on you. Okay, new goals. We need to rebuild and we need to get revenge. Also, apparently the burglar was pessimistic, and so the game was like, it seems like you don't like pessimistic people. I was like, yeah. When it comes to rebuilding though, I'm thinking I don't want to get the woodworking table back straight away. I think I want to get a shower first, because I don't want to keep breaking into the school. There's not any consequences, but I kind of feel bad. And also because of him being high maintenance now, he gets super cranky when he's dirty. I got a call from Angela asking me about her relationship drama. And even though I just got some food and a shower at school, I had to get more food and another shower because, I don't know, he got dirty and hungry again. While I was at the school showering, I also got another phone call from Angela, and this one was a lot more mysterious. This is a random one that you can get sometimes from a friend that's like, I've had a weird dream about you and I think you're going to die soon. Basically, so weird. But so the game asked me if I want to go along with it and accept the chase by death trait. And I was like, you know what? This is gonna make things a lot harder, but why not? What this means is normally with the deaths, right? You get to make one mistake, then if you repeat that mistake again, that's when your Sims will die. But with this trait, it's one mistake and you're out. Anyway, I went back to fishing because of course I did, and I now reached level 8. This is going really fast still. I also decided, since I'm fishing so much, why not change out my placeholder aspiration for the fishing one? It only makes sense. With more fish caught, I finally had enough money to buy that shower that I wanted. This is gonna make my life so much easier. I won't have to break it to school anymore. I also gained a lifestyle that evening. The outdoorsy one, I mean, makes sense. I don't have a house, I'm always outside. I also caught some more apples and decided to plant those. Now we have a full-on orchard going on. My social was super low, so I decided to call Angela over to talk. It was time to vote on those neighborhood action plans again. I didn't want for one to win again that I didn't want, so I decided to literally spend all of my points on this one in order to make sure that I don't get another stupid one. I went back that evening to the carnival to get some more food, and Angela was working again. Early on day 7, I managed to catch a cow plant berry. I'm definitely going to plant this. Is that very smart to do on a lot with a sim that's chased by death? No, but I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, and then I also had enough money to buy a campfire. We'll be able to cook our fish on here so we don't have to run to the carnival all the time. And then we actually got to level 10 of the fishing skill already. Angela called me and asked me if I want to come over to her house. And I was like, you know what? Why not? I didn't really do much there though. Basically just used her house to get my needs up. And when I arrived back home, Angela was standing in the corner of my lot. Like, I wasn't just at her place and she was there. Is this girl following me? It's kind of getting creepy. Today is autumn day 1, and I immediately got to use my campfire to cook my first fish. With it now being autumn, that meant that my apples were finally in season, and so the apple trees actually grew. Now this is slowly becoming an orchard for sure. Plus, I could already harvest some. Later that day, I went back to fishing. I mean, of course, what else would I be doing? But you know what? When it gets really cold in winter, fishing is not an option anymore because the water, well, I guess freezes over. It doesn't actually, but I think that's what the law is supposed to be. So we should make sure that we have other sources to make money. So I went back to my crafting table and I made my very first knife block. I also got bills, except I didn't actually have to pay anything. They paid me because of my lot rates. A little later, I discovered a goal for one of the Soul's Journey things, which is that he wants to go on a camping trip. A little confusing because I feel like we're camping this entire time, but okay if you think so. At around 3 p.m. I got a phone call from Angela asking me if I want to come over to her house again, and I was like, Angela is getting a little creepy, and she's like the only person I know. Maybe I should make more friends. I had a look around in Copperdale here, and I remembered there's this like bubble tea and thrift shop combo lot. So I was like, why don't I check this out and see if there's somebody cool here? And you will never believe this. Angela was working here too. I literally cannot escape her. What is this? And a little side note that I want to add here. Some people might be like, hey, you get along so well with Angela, you should totally try and romance her, like her showing up everywhere. Maybe she's like following you because she has a crush on you or something like that. And I do like to go along with funny things like that, And so I was actually considering that, but honestly, I'm not really feeling these two. Angela and my sim look really similar. And I mean, it's like not the biggest deal, right? But still. And also, and more importantly, she's actually enrolled in university. Like, she's from the uni pack, and I know that she is. And so if I added her to our household, I'd have to complete her degree for her, and I don't feel like doing that on top of everything else. To be honest, I already wasn't having the best time at the store when this notification made it even worse. Juiced Community won the vote, even though I spent like all of my points on the other one. Now everybody in my neighborhood is gonna be an alcoholic. No, what is happening? Luckily, this lady right here came to the rescue. I met her a couple of days ago while fishing, and she just randomly started fishing next to me, and I was like, why don't I say hi? And I guess she's remembered me now. She asked me to go to the festival that was in the city. And so I kind of just started talking to random people, introducing myself, when I saw, you'll never guess who was here, the burglar from earlier. So I was like, time for revenge, and I tried to fight her again, but she beat me again. Troy's fishing so much and he still has noodle arms. What's wrong with him? The burglar's name is Robin, by the way. Robin Banks. And I decided to declare her my enemy. Afterwards, there's like a little competition with this festival, right? I tried to join on the opposite team of her. And I did that a little late because I literally didn't do anything and we won. And I got some free money. A bit unfair because I literally didn't do anything. But hey, from that money, I could start building my first little room. And I also discovered that I actually got some firework items from the festival too, so I could sell those too and make a ton of money from that as well. I also decided to add a fireplace. I'm hoping this will keep me warm in winter. The ice cream man called me to validate my feelings. Thank you for always having my back, bestie.
Oh.
Angela asked me to hang out at my place and I was like, I'm busy. Then she called me again to let me know about her relationship drama. I also put our very first fish that we ever caught in a bowl finally. This thing was lying on the floor the entire time. And I made it into an heirloom as well. This way we'll be able to pass this down onto future generations if we ever get that far.
Glarbafna.
And here I had a thought, right? Because I want to get revenge against Robin. But clearly I can't beat her in a fight. And I would count it as revenge if maybe she robbed my house again and I caught her that time. But that's very unlikely to happen. So I'm gonna have to find a third way on how to get revenge. But I don't even really know anything about her. I think I have to first collect information about her before I'll know how to get her back. But of course she doesn't want to talk to me. She doesn't want to come over. So how am I meant to get to know her better? We're gonna have to think of something. And actually, I did immediately think of something because the next day it was Harvest Fest. And you know what? I'm pretty sure if you invite a sim to a party, they can't refuse to come. So I was like, I'm going to throw a huge Harvest Fest party and I'm gonna invite Robin as well and I'll be able to get more information about her that way. So I decided to prepare by buying this picnic table. And also I wanted to get a kitchen so I can actually cook some food. I also met this random lady. She's gonna be another guest at my party. Why not? Oh, and here is the dumbest thing that's ever happened to me. My fishing aspiration says that I have to fish at a bunch of different fishing spots, right? So I decided to go to one across the map. And my sim, cause he's a sim, decided the shortest way is through the ocean. Also, these people asked me to be part of their club and I was like, go away. And here I wasn't really thinking, I was just like, lol, he's swimming, so dumb. But remember, it's cold, and he is chased by death, so he died immediately. But actually, he didn't die, because turns out, the first time you die, you only get a near-death experience, and Grim is like, oh, be careful next time. And I responded with, ha, you can't scam me, except, yes, you can scam me, and I changed his outfit to the cold weather one immediately. So I said earlier that it's one mistake and you're out. Turns out you get to make a mistake and it's just a near-death experience. I had no idea how this worked, so I guess we're still alive. That's cool. But so with the milestone of the aspiration completed, I also got the very first step done of the soul's journey. So that's pretty cool. My soul's journey almost ended then, but I guess I can still go on. This is also when I discovered that apparently it's only one event per day, so I actually can't throw a party because it's already Harvest Fest. Yeah, my preparations were kind of for nothing. Also, look, my cow plant grew. But so I decided to just invite people anyway. I can't invite Robin because she's not coming over, but I guess I can just invite all my friends anyway. I was just kind of chatting with everybody when I had this moment of like, hold up, everybody here is dazed. Why? And then I remembered juiced community. Also, I noticed the free love thing as well, like Angela apparently flirted with me while I wasn't looking. So yeah, I definitely have to get rid of these. And so we basically just hung around the campfire that night. By the way, if you're curious, from the left to the right, that's the ice cream man, Shigeru is his name. Then the random lady that we met a couple hours ago, Kyle, who I met at the festival, Angela of course, and me. And then next to me is the lady that owns the thrifty shop, and then next to her is Angela's sister, Lilith. And you know what? I really like my little gang here. I think we can say that we have made friends, like I said I wanted to. Eventually everybody left, and I remembered that these gnomes are also part of Harvest Fest, and if you appease them by giving them the correct gift, they gift you seed packets. And so we could use those to add more plants to our farm. I went back to go fishing, and on my way there, I received this strange gift. And at first I was like, is it from Robin? Like, is she sending me weird stuff because she's my enemy? But turns out this is actually part of the Chased by Death trait, I guess. And this is actually meant to be like a mysterious package from Grimm. I'm not sure why Grimm is sending me hate mail out of all people. I always thought of him as like a cool guy. I guess he's really just a creep. After the holiday was over, all of the gnomes turned back into objects, and I decided to sell all of them because they're actually worth quite a lot, except for one. I decided to keep this one as like a decoration. And they also did leave me a lot of seed packets, so I decided to add those to my farm. With the money, I could expand my little room and also add all of the kitchen appliances that I bought inside. With this, I'm pretty confident that we'll make it through winter because remember, we are at special risk of freezing to death. It was also time to vote on the neighborhood action plans again, and this time I actually decided to not vote and instead start a petition to repeal one of these. Thinking about it now, actually you might be able to do both in one weekend, but I don't know, for some reason I thought you could only do one, so I only did one. So we now have to get 5 signatures, and remember, I still want to try and force Robin over here so we can get to learn her weaknesses. And I have an idea how to do that. Today is not a holiday, so we can throw an actual party. So despite all of these guys being here yesterday, I decided to invite them straight back over to my, well, not house, to my sad little room. And I decided to make it start immediately, and I got this notification that made me realize, yeah, this is not gonna be particularly successful. But I decided to just go for it anyway. And sure enough, Robin showed up as well. Kinda getting a deja vu here. But so, as you can expect, all of my efforts to make contact with Robin didn't go so well. I tried several things, but I never managed to get us closer to friendship ever. In fact, later on, they even autonomously fought each other again. And you guessed it, Troy lost again. Like, what is up with this guy? I did remember that we also have to get the signatures, and so I asked literally everybody here. But despite so many people being here, I only ever got 3 signatures. Everybody just wants to stay a juiced community, I don't get it. But so after a while the event ended and it was unsuccessful, unsurprisingly. But that night, with my new kitchen, I did get to cook my very first actual meal. Also, my aspiration and my soul's journey are coming along. And I discovered something interesting. Robin does not like me and does not want to come over, right? But she will chat with me over the phone. So from now on, I occasionally called her to better our relationship. Still don't know how I'm gonna get revenge, but this should get us closer to figuring it out. I also improved the handiness still a lot, and so now we're getting to a point where if I sell the stuff that we craft, we actually make a ton of money. Again, this is gonna be good for winter, which actually, it is winter day 1 now. And I got this phone call from a new person, from Rory, and she was like, actually, I moved in across the street. Or well, it was actually across the map, but you get the point. So I decided to say hi to her, and also fish next to her house. And this is when I got the worst phone call of my entire life. The ice cream man died. Also, I remembered that those signatures are still a thing I have to collect, so I decided to ask Rory, and she actually said yes. A little later on, I just talked to random people on the street to get another signature, and this random lady actually agreed as well, and with that I had the 5 that I needed. The next day, I got bills again, and yet again, they actually paid me? And like I said, I'm regularly calling Robin now in order to get our relationship up. And I'm also still getting my handiness skill up. We're actually at level 5 already. After that, I discovered another Soul's Journey goal. And this is a really weird one about like confirming my suspicions through the internet? I don't know, but I guess I can buy you a computer eventually and we can do that. I also bought a solar panel so I can generate my own power. Spoiler alert, we never end up generating our own power in this, but I was hopeful. The voting closed, and the sports-themed one won? I mean, I'm okay with that. Also, Angela called me again to let me know about her relationship drama. On day 3, it started snowing for the first time. Look at how pretty. And while I was crafting, I noticed that wait, the ice cream man is calling me? You're supposed to be dead. Anyway, I started noticing that he was getting this creative fog moodlet, which means that he's close to burnout. Again?
So shame.
Also, Angela called me again to let me know about her relationship drama. Later that day, I finally started work on our actual lighthouse. I'm thinking we could already use that room that we're making right now and expand it further, but I moved it over here because I'm thinking the lighthouse should go here. I tried letting him craft some more, but the creative fog was too bad. And also, right now I don't have an inside bathroom and I really think we should get one because I had to walk through a blizzard to get to my toilet bush and that just does not seem ideal. After that, I actually lost my outdoorsy lifestyle. I mean, it makes sense. I'm just inside all the time now because it's winter. But I gained a new one in return, which is the technophobic one. The next day, it was Winterfest. And I had made enough money so that I could actually get the inside bathroom that I wanted. It's not looking too great yet, but at least I won't have to go outside to pee anymore. And speaking of making a lot of money, I even decided to get some windows. We're really flaunting now. And on top of that, I bought a Christmas tree as well. I gained another lifestyle. The single and loving it one. Again, also makes sense. And I know it feels like we've been throwing parties a lot, but I'm thinking I shouldn't celebrate Christmas alone. So I decided to call over my friends as well. I even tried to call Robin because we actually have a way better relationship now after all of those calls. My neighbor Rory and the lady who signed my petition joined me as well. Except the lady who signed my petition actually didn't join us for very long because, yep, you guessed it. Yes, this is happening. She arrived, I talked to her for like 2 seconds, and then she's decided to immediately die right in that spot. Oh, Robin is coming over. Imagine you arrive at a party and the first thing you see right outside of the front door is just a dead body. I mean, that's just peak Sims. Grimathy reaped her soul, and I got this phone call of like, hey, did you know that the lady who signed your petition died? And I was like, no way! I also gifted Robin a flower as a Christmas present, and apparently it was a flower of peace, because right after that, it said that we were no longer enemies. And you guys, quick team discussion, right? What are we thinking about an enemies to lovers storyline? I know it's dumb and unrealistic, but this is literally The Sims, and I've never tried something like that. So I'm like, what if during our attempts to figure out more about Robin, we actually realize that she's kind of cool and that we kind of like her? Surely it can't be that difficult to romance your former enemy, except maybe it can because the super basic friendly interaction failed. And to make matters worse, I wasn't looking for a second, and she took the cake of the cow plant and got eaten. Don't worry, she's not gonna die because unlike me, she's not chased by death, so she gets to make 2 mistakes. But still, I can't imagine this was particularly good for our relationship. I realized that winter was coming to an end and spring is the last month of the challenge. And so I was like, I have to log in because while I wasn't really expecting to get my lighthouse like completely done, I wanted to at least get decently far. So I had him craft a bunch of mirrors and I slowly upgraded the house with the money that I made. I even started with the tower bit of our lighthouse. And yes, I am using rounded walls. Might not be the best idea, but I think they're a lot less glitchy now than they used to be. I actually didn't have that many issues with them. I also remembered that when a sim gets eaten by the cow plant like Robin did, you can actually milk it and then sell the potion that you get, and it makes a ton of money. And so from that money, I could again upgrade our house even more. And as you can see, here I am assembling the ground floor of our tower bit. I think you can kind of see the vision now. A little later, I got another notification that I can vote again in the neighborhood action plans. I decided to once again go for the self-sufficiency one. You get points by doing things like crafting or fishing, so things that I'm doing anyway. And again, I decided to literally spend so many of my points. I am getting this action no matter what. I also went into CAS because I decided, you know, we want to try doing our enemies to lovers storyline, right? And right now we have bad compatibility with Robin because I don't like pessimistic sims. So I decided maybe, you know, he's changed his mind and he likes them now. With this change, I was confident that romancing Robin would be a piece of cake. So I called her over and long story short, it wasn't a piece of cake. Also, Angela called me about her relationship drama. When it comes to our relationship drama though, I could pretty much not talk to her at all. So I tried doing things like building this cute snow pal, for example. I think he turned out so good. But every time I actually tried to talk to her, she just insulted me. The next day, it was New Year's Eve. Also, that means the last day of winter, so we gotta log in. I called over Angela in the morning because, you know, she's actually nice to me and I don't want to lose my friendship with her. But so after we talked for a little bit, I sent her back home and I called over Robin to once again try and make friends with her and even romance her if we manage. And at first, it went super well. We actually got some green relationship. She even flirted with me, although I think that's more so thanks to the free love thing that I still have active. Angela called me to let me know about her relationship drama, of course. And like I said, things with Robin were going pretty well. We gained a little bit of green relationship and even a teeny tiny pink bar. This is the furthest we've ever gotten. But then things kind of turned around for the worse, because all of a sudden, my friendly interactions didn't work anymore. And we just lost a ton of relationship again. After a while, Robin decided to leave and I just let her go because this was not going anywhere. But then, a little later, I got the notification that the Romance Festival was in the city. And I was like, this is my chance. If I can get them both to be flirty, surely romance interactions would be super easy. But it still wasn't going very well. I tried to be friendly and she didn't like it, and she even tried to romance me as well, but he didn't like it. After a while I was like, what are we even doing here, besties? And I just left. But I did call her over the next day again, because I am getting that enemies to lovers storyline no matter what. And I was like, you know what? Maybe the place that we were in is an issue. So I was like, why don't I try taking her to the library that's also here in Copperdale? And so that's exactly what I did. And sure enough, The library might be my secret trick because things here went a lot better. I actually could talk to her here like a normal person, and she didn't constantly insult me. What is happening? Even my romance interactions towards her went pretty well. I got her to cloud gaze with me too, and from that we gained a ton of relationship. Now this is the furthest we've ever gotten. In fact, the game even considered her to be one of my friends after this. With things looking up when it came to Robin and I decided, okay, I can go back to my house and log in because surely the rest is pretty easy, right? Can I be so honest? I don't think it's ever been that complicated for me to just be friends with somebody and romance somebody. Like, I mean, this is literally the game that's known for you meet a person and you get married that evening. So I'm like super confused what was going on with Robin there. Especially because like, we had no reason to be upset at each other. Like, all of our grudges ran out. We were no longer enemies. We had good compatibility. Like, there was no reason for things to be that way. Anyway, let's talk about the lighthouse, right? I found this really cool wallpaper from Jungle Adventures that let me recreate like a typical lighthouse stripe. And I think this looks so cool. I'm so glad that we have this wallpaper. Back in live mode, I called Robin again. Surely it's smooth sailing from here. Also, I got my bills again, and this time I actually have to pay them. What a shame. And it went kind of well. I got to be friendly with her, I got to be romantic with her, although some interactions also failed. But I just decided to go for it and ask her out. And sure enough, she accepted. So of course I took her back to the library because that is like the place that worked the best for us so far. I just basically need to do what I did last time. And again, things looked well at first. I even got my neutral reputation back because I had bad reputation before from having an enemy. And it looks like I still have one because after a while my interactions failed again. I don't get this. Why does she like me at first and then she's like, actually no, go away. Voting closed, and this time finally the one that I wanted won. After a while the date ended and it was actually a silver one, but it didn't really feel like a silver one because, again, I wasn't very successful. That night, the lady who signed my petition haunted me, and I decided to vent to her about my problems. The next day, I called over Robin again. I want to say, by the way, I don't condone this behavior. Like, if somebody just doesn't want anything to do with you in real life, just, you know, let them be. But this is The Sims, and I've invested too much time and energy into the storyline, and I am making it happen. And clearly, with the way that things are right now, I am not making it happen. So I was like, is there something else that I can do? And I remembered the reward store. I like keep forgetting that this exists whenever I play, but when you complete aspirations, you collect points, right? And you can buy extra little things with them. So I had to look through them, and it doesn't look like there is any like insta friendship or insta romance potions, which I feel like is a bit of an oversight. But there is this like beguiling special ability where you can instantly turn a sim flirty. And so I was like, why not try that? I had to go fishing for a little bit to collect enough points, but then once I had them, I decided to just go for it and buy that, and hopefully us being able to turn Robin instantly flirty will help a lot. That night I worked some more on the lighthouse, and then I just went to bed. And you will not believe this. Yup, Robin is robbing me again! But I was like, actually, this is my chance. I said I would count it as revenge if she robbed me again, and I caught her that time. So I was like, okay, this time I am not depending on my noodle arms because clearly I can't beat her in a fight. But instead I tried the other options, like calling the police and confronting her. She didn't really care about me confronting her, but shortly after that the police arrived and they fought her for me. And the police won! That's what you get. I think with that we can count our revenge as successful. In fact, I feel like we're kind of even, cause like she robbed my house once and was successful, and she robbed my house another time and I caught her. So, like, you know, despite what happened last night, I decided to just meet up with her anyway. We now hold a grudge against each other, but I was like, don't worry, remember, I now have my secret weapon. So I decided to use that secret weapon, and look, it has a kind of cute animation. And, she's still very sad. My secret weapon didn't work. What is this? I decided to use cheats to add her to my household just to kind of see what was going on with her. You see, I've suspected that she might be glitched for a while now with everything being so unnecessarily hard. And sure enough, she had a plus 50 flirty moodlet, but she was still very sad. So I guess maybe because she's a special NPC, things are kind of weird with her. I decided to reload the game, and sure enough, now it worked. Now I could finally once again talk to her like a normal human. In fact, she even autonomously flirted with me. And we're not in the free love neighborhood, so, you know. I decided to go back home and work some more on the lighthouse. I also decided to keep Robin part of my household. As you can see, she just went to work. Angela called me again about her relationship drama. And I maxed out my handiness skill. But about Robin, right? I know it doesn't make hollow sense with the story that she's part of my household now, but I didn't want to remove her again and add her again. I was worried I would just glitch her more. I'm really glad that she seems to be repaired, I think, now, so I decided to keep things that way. And by the way, first day of work in my household, and she's already made a work rival, and it's Nancy Landgraf out of all people. And yes, I am letting her keep her job. When I play Rags to Riches, I like to play with the rule that only like my first original sim can't get a normal job. So with Robin being a criminal, it's fine. Besides, she doesn't really make a whole lot of money as a low-level criminal anyway. Here I also discovered another goal of my soul's journey, which is to make a whole bunch of money. Finally, a goal that makes sense. I decided to work on our relationship. With her not being glitched anymore, surely now it's smooth sailing. I used my beguiling ability again, even though I feel like I probably don't even need it. I feel like maybe it was a waste to buy this, but oh well, I was desperate. Also, I wasn't looking for a second again, and guess what happened? Robin tried to eat the cake of the cow plant again, but luckily, again, she's not chased by death, so she didn't actually die from this. I guess I can only be glad that it's not Troy who's trying to do this constantly, because he would die. But so I could milk the cow plant again and make a ton of money. And yeah, I do seriously think that something was wrong with the game before, because romancing her now was so much easier. Like, it was basically just how I expected it, how it always goes. After a while, I got the option for the first kiss, and I just clicked that. I just went for it. I was like, please, please. That had to have been the worst speedrun of romancing a sim in this game ever, but we made it, finally. And we still held grudges against each other, but apparently those didn't matter. I'm so confused. After a while, it also gave me the option to ask her to be my partner, so I did that as well, and again, she accepted. Finally. I also decided, you know, with our house looking more and more like an actual house, I think I want to connect us back to the grid so we have electricity again. So I decided I should pay 500 simoleons, you know, pretending that I am, to remove that lot trait. And so now we have electricity. And so now I actually added some real lamps after, of course, overthinking way too much which ones I should add. And I also added an easel in the corner back here. I'm thinking I also want to give Robin something to do to make us more money. And, you know, since she's like a robber, she could maybe be into art. Like, maybe she's not just Robin Banks, she's also Robin Museums. And so maybe she likes art, and so maybe she likes to make her own. I don't know, that was kind of the thought process. And so I had them both lock in to make us more money so that we can get further with the lighthouse. And in fact, I got so far I could add the top bit, and I even thought for a really long time what I should put in that top bit. I mean, there needs to be like a lighthouse light thing in there. And I decided to just go for this lamp right here. Normally it's quite tiny, but I decided to size it up. And yes, I did test it, and your Sims can still navigate around it and access the little balcony. This is, by the way, what it looks like from the outside now. I think it's coming along super well. And with us now being reconnected to the electricity, I could also actually order groceries for the first time. I was a little confused that it didn't arrive at first because it got glitched or something, but actually the delivery person just put it over here. And as you can see, I upgraded my kitchen a little bit with the money. And just because we're partners now doesn't mean that things are going super well still. I don't think she's like glitched anymore, but like we're still kind of mean sometimes to each other. I think that's just because of our traits. I also discovered the last goal for my Souls journey, which is to spend a day in Brindleton Bay. I mean, okay, if that's what you want to do. And with that, the last day was here, Spring Day 7, and coincidentally, it was also Troy's birthday. So I decided to throw a huge birthday party with, of course, me as the birthday person, and then I invited all my friends, which actually I don't have very many friends anymore because they either died or the relationship fizzled out. But so in preparation for the party, I baked myself a cake for later, and I also worked some more on my furniture. For example, these bar stools in front of my kitchen counter are actually all crafted by me on the woodworking table. I think they fit in so well. I also added this little sofa section right here, and the Dream Home Decorator sofa pieces fit so well into the rounded bed. And since it was the last day today, I did something that I should have probably done a very long time ago, but I kind of kept putting it off, which is to collect the Ice Cream Man's grave. Because you see, he's actually a pre-made townie, and he lives in this house right here, and his granddaughter is actually still alive. And so sure enough, his gravestone and his wife's gravestone were in the corner back here, and so I decided to collect his, and I'm sorry, but I don't really care about his wife, so I just left her here. I also decided to introduce myself to his descendants, cause why not? And actually I discovered that there were a lot more than I thought, because like I said, normally he just lives with his granddaughter and his wife here, but turns out there's actually 2 more children in the household. I actually checked out their household after the year was over because I was curious where these kids came from, and I thought for sure they would be the granddaughter's kids, but turns out they're actually Ice Cream Man's kids, and so they're his granddaughter's aunts? This is so weird that the game actually can't display their family tree correctly. With that, I now have 2 graves and many more to come, I'm sure. But now the birthday party actually started. And so everybody arrived, and I decided to invite Ice Cream Man's descendants as well, because why not? I think I want to stay in touch with them. I don't really have a whole lot of party activities on my lot, so I just kind of hung out with everybody and we just kind of talked. And after a while, I just decided to have him blow out the candles and age up. And turns out I don't have enough space in my house, so he like walked to the other side of the universe to age up, but this actually happens to me a lot. Afterwards, I had everybody downstairs hang out and eat cake together, and turns out this is actually a double birthday because Angela got up and aged up herself. And with that, we only had a couple hours left of the final day of the year. And I kept saying that I don't expect the lighthouse to get completed within the year, but I at least wanted to get decently far. So with a little bit of money that I still have, I decided to go into build mode and add everything that I still can. So I made a little time lapse, and if you don't feel like watching it, you can just skip ahead. And I only had like 600 simoleons left, which isn't a whole lot, but there are also a lot of things that you can do for free in build mode, like add this path that I'm doing right now, which I've kind of been putting off for all this time, and I was like, well, now is the time to finally do it, because literally the challenge is ending right now. But so I tried to match the path to like the paths that are in the environment here, where I once again have the problem of the fact that you only get really basic brushes in build mode. Meanwhile, if you look at the environments in the world, it's very clear that they have like fancier brushes to draw all of the paths on. So it's not a perfect replica, but I think I got relatively close as you can get. Next up, I also thought we should definitely add some trees. And in order to do that, I just used the Live Edit Objects cheat to get access to all of those objects that aren't normally in build mode but are still in the game, which might be seen as a bit cheaty by some. I mean, if there are any like hardcore Rags to Riches players out there, I don't know. Those people might be like, no, you actually have to legitimately buy every single blade of grass with your own money. You can't just use those cheaty plans because they don't actually cost anything because, you know, they're not normally in build mode, so why would they bother adding a price to the item? So I'm sorry to disappoint some of you out there, perhaps. I don't know if anybody actually cares. Also, because I would be using these objects even if I wasn't doing a challenge. I like pretty much always use them. No, because without this cheat, I would be nothing. Like, all of my builds pretty much depend on it. I think this is such a good tip for somebody who's starting out with building, is don't just depend on all of the regular items. Definitely look into the debug menu as well. Because, I mean, for example, the little bushes that I use here and also the rocks are all from debug and you can't normally access them. And I think just adding them, just even a few, makes such a big difference, doesn't it? Speaking about the rocks, by the way, if it seemed like there was a cut, I don't know if you can tell, but that is because there actually was a cut. The time-lapse is not all complete. I did cut out some boring parts. Like, for example, it took me so long to find exactly the rocks that I wanted. That's another thing, maybe, while we are on tips for newer builders, right? Don't just trust the time lapses that you see, because you might think like, oh, this is the whole process, but a lot of the times I think people cut things out because sometimes you just do boring stuff. So like if you're struggling and you like can't decide what item to place and stuff like that, that's normal. We all go through that. That's just a canon event, I'm afraid. I was just gonna ask like, hey, wouldn't it be fun to make like a whole video with build tips? And then I was like, didn't somebody request that before like ages ago? And I was like, good idea, I'll see if I get to it. And then obviously knowing me, I so far didn't get to it. But I can't find that comment anymore, so maybe I made it up, I'm sorry. And also, I did discover that somehow, maybe YouTube changed something about the notifications, but I completely missed that people left new comments on my videos. So, if you're looking for quality content creation, this is not the place to come. But I'm doing my best, okay? I also have a lot of other things going on. Anyway, though, the final hours of the last day of the year are here, and I just had Troy sleep because he was tired, and Robin paint some more to make us more money. And with that, are you ready for it? Here it is, 12 a.m. on summer day 1, once again, but this time, year 2. Whoa, Happy New Year! And I kept playing for a little while after that because I wanted to do like a final showing off of everything in the daylight, when look, this happened. Ice Cream Man haunted me on the final day. Isn't that perfect? And it gets even more perfect because right here I'm kind of confused what he did. I'm pretty sure that sleeping spell that goes through is like a positive thing. So, you know, Ice Cream Man is our friend. Still, even in death. But look, he found a piece of cake that was hidden behind the corner there. A Sim must have placed it there and I must have missed it. And he grabbed it and ate it. So it's like Ice Cream Man wasn't at my birthday party, but like he came afterwards and also had a piece of cake. I think that's just perfect. Anyway, eventually the daylight came for my final tour. Unfortunately, it's quite a sad day outside today, but that's okay. I think it just kind of adds to the coastal lighthouse vibes. But I also showed it off in build mode as well because the lighting was a little nicer here. And yeah, this is what the lighthouse ended up looking like. I do think it's a little wide. I think it should be taller realistically, but unfortunately you can't go up so far in The Sims 4 in build mode. So my lighthouse is a little fat, like proportionally compared to other lighthouses, but that's okay. Also showed off right there the fact that I do have a burglar alarm now that actually works now because we are reconnected to the electricity. So, you know, if any of Robin's friends ever come over again, we'll be prepared. But so this is the interior. The interior is not looking too great yet. I do already have the kitchen that's pretty far along, but then the room above that is literally just my bed, and the next room is literally empty. And then the next room above that is that lighthouse bit with the really big lamp and the balcony. This part is pretty much done, I think. I don't think I want to add too much here. I mean, there's literally no space for anything. Unless any of you have any good ideas, let me know. Here it is also from further away, and again, it really needed to be taller, but unfortunately, this is the tallest you can go in the game, so we're just gonna have to accept it that way. Here's how we ended up with the Soul's Journey and my aspiration stuff. I didn't get so far along. Here are also all of my relationships, with Angela being my best friend and Robin now finally being my girlfriend. Jesus. Here are all of the traits that we ended up with. Somehow I got the collector's one. I thought you only got the trait from the first aspiration that you choose, but I guess I don't know this game as well as I thought I did. Here are all of my milestones. I feel like I usually get more than this, but also maybe I'm thinking of all of the saves where I've played for longer than a year. Also, one of these is double because remember I discovered the adventurous trait twice because I accidentally deleted it once. Here is also my lifestyles and also my sim stats. Does anybody actually care about the stats? Does anybody even know that these exist? I don't know, but if you care about them, here they are. And overall, we lost 2 Sims, but not the cow plant? I thought this thing would for sure die. But anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching to the end. This was the biggest video I ever made. I literally had to find my editing software this entire time. It's so bad. And yeah, rest in peace, Ice Cream Man. I will love you forever and always. And actually, there is one more thing that I want to do. Throughout the challenge, Angela called me again and again about her relationship drama, so I decided to look at it for myself from her perspective. And side note, there is a baby in their household that I did not know anything about. And other side note, she's doing terrible at school apparently. Okay, the baby first though. Apparently the baby is her baby. I'm guessing she adopted them, but yeah, unfortunately the relationship drama is pretty disappointing because it looks like it was either fake or the relationships fizzled out. But yeah, besides me or her household, she didn't know any people, I guess, or maybe the relationship drama was so bad that she broke up with all of them. I don't know, but anyway, bye!